next thought leader here this year is Tom Shieh. Tom is a creative serial entrepreneur with a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and a master's degree in telecommunications. Originally from Taiwan, he has several years of technical and management experience at IBM, Level 3 Communications, Northrop Grumman, and other top companies. Tom is a national speaker and best-selling author and is extremely knowledgeable in various industries, having started and worked in over 13 businesses and having built, managed, and acquired over 100-plus revenue-generating websites in different niches. In his spare time, he enjoys spending time with his wife and 3 kids, working out, playing the guitar, basketball, and is active in his church. Please welcome to the stage my friend Tom Shieh.
In 1973, in Stockholm, Sweden, a man who has been a criminal for most of his life, starting at the age of 16, decides just getting out of prison, he wants to go rob a bank. And so he goes and robs the bank and immediately creates a lot of frenzy. 2 police officers swarm in, which he shoots and injures one, and the other one, he makes him sing a song. And during this time, during this frenzy where everybody is escaping for their life because the armed robber is dangerous, he captures 4 people and takes them hostage. And of these 4 people, he keeps them hostage for over 130 hours. Over 6 days, they're taken from eating, drinking, sleeping. Their life is threatened. And at certain points, he holds guns to them and threatens as he negotiates with a police officer. And at certain times, these victims are even strapped with dynamite. At any time, risked with a chance of being blown up or killed. And you know what's fascinating about this story? This is a true story in 1973 in Stockholm, Sweden. It's later known as the Stockholm Syndrome, where this person, this robber, eventually goes to jail. And during jail, he becomes a celebrity. People are sending him letters, and he even meets somebody who sends him a letter that they later become engaged with. What's fascinating about this story and this psychology is this, is that the people that he captured that were victims later protected him. They sided with the person that was abusing him, that were holding them against their will, threatened them, killing them, wanting to kill them. These victims refused to cooperate with the police. And so psychiatrists looked at that and they said, how can that be? How can something like this happen? And they looked at Freudian theory and they said that as psychology and the way that our mind works, the way that our ego protects itself is when we feel there is threat, there's imminent threat, that what we tend to do as human beings because of our primal fear and our reptilian brain is we relate with the aggressor. We relate with the person that is trying to hurt us. In that process, as we become a victim, and we relate and understand the person or the situation or the environment that is threatening to us, it allows us traumatic bonding, which means we become one with the thing that is trying to attack us. And so why am I sharing that today? It's because of this one simple message which says, I am victorious, I am not a victim. You see, the other day I was driving, and about 1 a.m., it was raining, and I have 3 kids, and so sometimes you have to squeeze in the workouts when you can. And I see a light, and it's from a distance, it's blinking, and I'm saying, what is that? What is that saying? I slowly drive there, and it's almost like it was a sign from God that says, don't be a victim. Don't be a victim. We, in our lives, no matter how successful we are, we have the tendency sometimes to play the victim card, to become victims in our own lives. And I know that you guys are thinking, hey, Tom, we're all best-selling authors here. I'm a respected expert industry person that people go to and look up to. I'm not the person that normally plays the victim card. But let me share with you very subtly how this happens. People, experts who study the mind, say that we have, on average, about 60,000 thoughts each and every day. 60,000 thoughts. And you know what's fascinating is that 95% of these thoughts are the same thoughts over and over and over again. And of these 95% thoughts that are over and over again, guess what percentage is positive and negative? You guys laugh because I can sense that you know. 80%. 80%. Isn't that amazing? 80% of the 95% thoughts that we think over and over again, these 60,000 thoughts that we have, are negative. And so when I say that we are becoming victims and we're not victims, although our mind wants to treat us as victims, this is what I'm pointing at. That we oftentimes, we have like fingers that are pointing back and forth at each other. And if you can imagine 60,000 fingers that are pointing on one hand, 60,000 fingers that are pointing the other hand, we're constantly in every situation, consciously or subconsciously, analyzing to say, what is going on in this situation? What is going on? Am I in attack mode? Am I fearful? And if we just think about the areas of our life, not necessarily in our business, not the areas that we're strong in and the areas that we're successful about, the areas that we like to talk about or the areas that we post on Facebook, but the areas of our life that we don't want to talk about, that the areas of our life that are hard for us to think back and to live. There's even some energetic tension when we think about it. When we think about those areas in our life, think about how we may be subconsciously playing victim. Because when we play victim, what we do is we eliminate our responsibility. We basically go with the flow because we're powerless to change the circumstances at hand. We remove our responsibility. You see, the word responsibility is created by two words. I, like Danny, was immigrated here to the U.S. I have 3 kids. I had a very, very tough childhood and in terms of what we had. And so to me, the sense of freedom and responsibility was very, very huge. And even studying English, very simple. The word responsibility comes from 2 words. Response, ability. The ability to respond. And what my encouragement today is this. Regardless of what happens in our life, I know that we're here celebrating our success as best-selling authors, but there's also, I guarantee, areas in our life, and maybe in our relationships, maybe in our parenting, and maybe in past relationships, maybe in our finances, maybe in our spiritual life. There's areas that all of us, as we introspect, are areas where we may not be where we want to be. And if you think about it, even in relationship, if you think about it, anybody here in a relationship, married, previously in a relationship, ever been in a fight? If you think about it, a fight in a relationship is a race to see who becomes the bigger victim. A fight in a relationship is a race to see who could become the bigger victim. Or maybe it's in our parenting. Maybe we're blaming the economy. Maybe we're blaming our teachers, our school, for the way that our kids are acting. Maybe we're blaming our ex-spouse for ruining our love life. Maybe we're blaming the economy or the subprime mortgage crisis, or maybe the internet bubble for where we are financially. And what my encouragement today is this. Friends, we are victorious. I believe that we were created with the seeds of greatness, that all of us have the ability to do magical things. But if we spend the majority of our time playing victims and going back and forth each and every day, we're not going to get as far as we can. You see, our life is a dynamic life. It happens dynamically. Things change, and there's so many elements. It's like a movie. There's things that it's even greater than a movie. A movie is 2D, there's 3D, 4D, 5D, however many dimensions that you could think of real life. But because of the way that our brain works, we take certain snapshots of life. And there can either be great snapshots or bad snapshots. Now, the previous gentleman that spoke talked about the past. And it reminds me of this movie, one of my favorite movies with Rocky. If we were to take that movie, just like we were to take the movie of our lives in certain snapshots, certain Polaroid snapshots, and we just focused on that top picture to the left, what would we be thinking? How is life? How excited are you when you get up in the morning? How excited are you when you go to the office? How excited are you when you are spending time with your family and loved ones? Or if you took that snapshot instead and changed it and said, I'm not a victim, I'm victorious in my life. Regardless of the circumstances, regardless of what's happened to me in the past, I am going to be victorious. Everything is a stepping stone towards my victory. Everything is a stepping stone towards my freedom. Everything is a stepping stone towards greater gratitude. If I had that picture and that image down there, how would life be different? How would life be different for all of us? You see, all of us Like what Joseph mentioned about the cathedral and the person who's building the cathedral. We have a hammer in our hands, and that hammer is neutral. It's a useful, powerful tool in the hands of the person who knows how to use it. When we become victims of our lives, when we blame circumstances, we blame people, we blame other situations and things that can't respond back and things that can't take responsibility, what we're doing is beating our own head with that hammer. And you can see this. Next time you talk to a friend, next time you meet somebody, you'll notice that there's certain things that they'll say about certain circumstances to give excuses or justification for the results that they don't have in their lives. Or we can take that hammer. We can build a cathedral. We can build a mansion. We can build a beautiful place, a place that not only houses where we want to be, but be a resting place for others around us. And so I'll leave with this last element, is this. How then, on a daily basis, can we be more victorious and not a victim in our own living? Because sometimes we become victim to ourselves because the greatest person that is the greatest aggressor that beats us up the most, it's ourselves. Is it not? As overachievers, as best-selling authors, do we not push ourselves to the edge and constantly want to do more and constantly strive for more? And Tom, you should have done that. You could have done this. You could have been here. And we need an element of forgiveness, because when we forgive, what happens is a very, very supernatural thing, because in order to forgive, we need to be filled with love. In order to forgive, we need to be filled with gratitude. In order to forgive, we need to first be able to go through a grieving process and understand, be able to embrace, and then integrate whatever that's going on in our lives. And so what I want to do, and to model after Joseph, I think it's a brilliant way to be able for us to visualize, is I'd love to invite us all to stand up for a moment. And to close your eyes. And you're not standing up for me, you're really standing up for yourself. So just for a moment, if you could put your hand on your heart. I love for what we just talked about and shared about, for it to be practical, that it's not something that we're just sitting around listening to some bald-headed Asian guy up on stage, but it's something that we can integrate. There's an element of restoration and healing and integration and understanding. And what I invite you to do is think about an area of your life, maybe an ex-spouse or ex-relationship or kids, or a tragic death of somebody that you've loved, something that creates tension and causes you to cringe when you think about it. And what I want to encourage you is to no longer play a victim, that you would step up and take responsibility, that you would say to yourself that I am victorious, that I am not a victim, that I am capable, that I am resourceful, that I am courageous, that I am free, that I am loved, and that this situation or this thing has matured me, has made me wiser and stronger and more knowledgeable for the days ahead. And I invite you to open your eyes. And what I believe that just happened was something that's very supernatural, that as you've integrated with areas that have been holding you back, that will propel you in your greater trajectory of even greater success. And so with that, I thank you so much for this time and this opportunity today. Thank you. God bless.